Hello and welcome to another battle report. This is actually a double feature. I've got a short one in front and a full-sized or normal-sized one after that. First thing we did was pull out my old nemesis from 6th edition, which was 3 Imperial Knights plus friends, and in this case it's a Nemesis Strike Force. My old answer was Hornets, and then Deep Striking Fire Dragons. In the new codex, though, it's just 2 Wraith Knights. I got the Infiltrate Warlord trait, so I was able to put one of my Wraith Knights up in the front. Due to the way that the Infiltrate rules work now, I had to give it to my Spirit Seer, my Shadow Weavers, and my Farseer had it in order for them to all deploy together. So what you see here is deployment, and it was Hammer and Anvil. The mission was Assassination. It's a weird one for a local tournament. It's a combination of Assassination and Relic, but the Relic scatters and blows up if it's not being controlled, etc. He put his back to the wall and shot everything at the Wraith Knight that I infiltrated. I don't even think he got a single wound to stick there. And the Relic scattered towards my, it's a Relic in the lower left there, towards my unit of artillery and did nothing else. So at the bottom of turn 1, I pushed up my Wraith Knight a bit. It wasn't too much. I kind of went back and forth about how to do this. I wanted to try and time it so that both Wraith Knights got into charge range at the same time. So I pushed that one up really far, as far as I could. And I really don't have any shooting that's effective on the board. I held everything else in reserves, like 3 units of Guardians, the Lone Viper, etc. So this is the top of turn 2. The most significant thing that happened, other than him getting 1 wound to stick on the Wraith Knight, was he failed to get Force off on the Dread Knight, and so went back and forth about the relative utility of assaulting my Wraith Knight with his Dread Knight. I don't think he got any wounds to stick, even with the Storm Raven firing everything into the Wraith Knight as well. So it's the bottom of turn 2. My Warwalkers come in. I had outflanked them, and I pushed my Knight up. You can see the Dread Knight is not there anymore. I assaulted it and took it out at initiative 5 when it failed invulnerable saves versus the attacks. The rest of my reserves, a lot of them came in. The Swooping Hawks I just dropped down the corner because there's practically nothing that they can do. The Viper came in, pushed it up. A unit of jet bikes came in, and 2 units of Guardians also came in. Neither unit of Spiders came in, though. I didn't film the results of the top of turn 3, but this is what happened. The Librarian and the Terminators disembarked from the Storm Raven, assaulted the Dread Knight, Wraith Knight at the bottom. They failed to do anything to him at all, and then in the stomp phase, I stomped out the entire unit. Up top, he lined up all 3 of the Imperial Knights to charge my Wraith Knight up there. Only got 2 of them in because their bases are so big. The final charge was like a 8 or 9 inch charge. He didn't make it, and I destroyed one of the Imperial Knights at initiative step 5 before it even got to swing. So we called it there because he lost everything. He would have a Storm Raven and 2 Imperial Knights, and I was very likely to destroy another one in the next round of combat. For our next game, 2 fairly different lists. I only bring 1 Wraith Knight, but I bring 3 Wave Serpents for the Guardians since they're so delicate. And he was looking for a list that would do a little bit better in a Maelstrom style. So he took basically IA13 Chaos Space Marines. There's a Fire Raptor, Sicaran, Dreadclaw, and Rapier Laser Destroyer, so 4 of his units are from IA13. And then he took Demon Allies with the Mask, Slanesh Demons, Plague Bearers, and Furies. And of course a Helldrake is in there as well, and Defense Line with a Comms Relay. Riding in the Dreadclaw, he has Chosen with Draznich from the Crimson Slaughter to give them preferred enemy everything. They carry a bunch of plasma, and he also has a Warpsmith riding in there with them. We were playing the same mission as in the first part of the battle report. My targets for this game, I chose both Rhinos and the 2 5-man CSM squads. he chose as his warlord the aspiring champion from the Rhino with the book on top of it. So here we have a shot of the terrain before deployment. It's hammer and anvil again. There's an objective marker way at the top of the screen there. That's, I think, number 2. The relic, the exploding relic of scattering silliness, is in the middle there. There's a ruin on either end of the board, and objective marker 1 is in that corner over there on the right. Here's a shot of deployment. The Sicaran and the Rapier laser destroyers are deployed. Everything else is held in reserves. He chose, due to the mission rules, he chose my lone Wraith Knight as his only assassination target. So I had to pick 4 targets, and he got to only pick 1 because he chose the Wraith Knight. So you can see my castle over here. I have my artillery up in the building, 1 Wave Serpent with Guardians in it, and the lone Wraith Knight. His Warpsmith chose to break the woods, I think, to reduce their cover save, because the objective was over there, and at some point I would have to go and hold it during the game. So, during an assassination mission, it's not the best idea to go first, particularly when you're playing reserves manipulation games. So I joked and said, oh, I'm going to steal the initiative, and then I rolled a 6 and did it. So I ended up going first. The Shadow Weavers have a long enough range that I can reach out and touch the Rapier laser destroyers, and I remove one of the batteries. I don't score any. I don't even have the potential to score any of the weird Maelstrom objectives because they were absolutely impossible. Even if I deployed my entire army, they would have been impossible to score. So it's the bottom of turn 1. His Dreadclaw came in, but it got a bad scatter, so he went flat out to get further away from me to stay out of assault range with the Wraith Knight. He put his Sicaran into my artillery, but I made cover saves versus the Wrens and armor saves against the rest, and had no losses on that turn. He scored, I think, 1 of his Maelstrom points, but I don't remember which one it was. So it's the top of turn 2. What you're looking at there is the Warp Spiders came in danger close. They work fantastically well against artillery units because they bypass that toughness 7 rule and go directly after their initiative. So I managed to put a wound on a gun. I think there's a wound on one of the other guns, and I killed off a couple of guys. And in other news, I got the Infiltrate Warlord trait again. I conferred it to my Guardians. They outflanked along with the Warwalkers, shot the Sicaran, but did nothing there. I got super lucky with a Bright hit from the Serpent, despite jinking over there, and I immobilized the Dreadclaw, which means that it and its contents are essentially dead. So it's the bottom turn 2. He uses comms relay to ensure that the Helldrake Fire Raptor come in. He's not able to keep off one of the Rhinos. That's not the one with his Warlord in it, though. The CSM and the Rhino wreck the Wave Serpent. Guardians have to disembark. It takes the Helldrake and the Sicaran and the Rapier laser destroyers actually to finish off the 3 Warwalkers, which is great because that takes up a lot of firepower. He puts the Fire Raptor into the Wraith Knight, but between it and the Chosen that disembarked to pop their plasma, he only gets 2 wounds to stick, which isn't a very good result for all of the effort and the points he's put into it. It's the top of 3. My other unit of Warp Spiders comes in as well. What you see there is after their jetpack move, where they're spreading out to be a little bit less template friendly. The Guardians and the Warp Spiders combine to wreck that Rhino there. The Space Marines pile out, and then they get cut down. That Wave Serpent, also outflanking, came in, popped everything, including its shield, at the rear end of the Hell Turkey, which in the old days would have almost guaranteed that it was destroyed, but I did absolutely nothing to it this time. Warp Spiders danced out, fired at the artillery, and cleaned them up, and bounced back inside. In other news, really good shooting and really poor saves meant that the Plague Bearers were reduced by like 6, and really good shooting and really poor saves meant that I cleaned up all of the Chosen and the Warpsmith. It's the bottom of turn 3. He dropped the Helldrake into hover mode, fried some Guardians, but they made their morale check, or maybe he fried the spiders. I don't remember what it was. One way or another, the two remaining warp spiders that you see up there, they did a flicker jump to clear out of some line of fire somewhere, but then I also had to choose to go to ground because of this wacky maelstrom. The Sicaran easily hauled out and wrecked the Wave Serpent, and when the Guardians piled out, they were pinned, which is not good for me since they have a missile platform that would be useful. And then you see remaining warp spiders there. I think you see them after being shot at, but I don't remember what shot at them. Either that or that's after their jetpack move that I forgot to make before I filmed the last turn. So you can see where the Demon Knights came in. The Mask came in close enough to do her little dance of you can only move D3 inches and assault D3 inches. So my Wraith Knight is stuck where it is and will definitely be assaulted next turn. The Plague Bearers had gone to ground as well, which is why they didn't do anything either. So this is the top of turn 4. I forgot to mention that he couldn't keep his other Rhino off with the comms relay. I managed to shake it, and I have the guys inside snap firing. But those warp spiders there, they actually jumped in behind the Helldrake, and because it was in hover mode, it was very easy for them to destroy it. In the corner, the Guardians that were pinned snap fired at the Sicaran and of course missed. And over here, the Wraith Knight fired both scatter lasers at the Mask and put 3 wounds on her off of 8 shots, which isn't fantastic, but was more remarkable is that she made her invulnerable saves there. But the Furies at the top, they don't do as well, and I reduced them to just 3 with all the rest of my shooting there. This is the bottom of turn 4. The Fire Raptor shot at the Warp Spiders that had taken out the Helldrake. Flicker jumped forward and got most of them out of the firing arc from the Avenger cannon on the nose there, which is super. It's an incredible ability, and they're totally worth their points and more. The Rhino tank shocked my Guardians, but I made my morale check. He put the Sicaran into the Wraith Knight in preparation to assault it, and I think he put 2 wounds on it with the Sicaran, but he only managed to get 1 wound. That's assaulting with the Mask and with the 10 Demonettes. It's a really poor result. I didn't actually have to make many saves. He just couldn't find any 6s there. And in the stomp phase, I stomped everything to death. Over here, the Plague Bearers assaulted my Serpent and put a glance on it for 1 hull point. It's the end of the top of turn 5. We called it here. You're looking at a Rhino that has a hull point sitting on it, but actually it was hulled out. The guys had to disembark, and then I killed them. The Swooping Hawks had actually come in a long time ago and hid under my ruin, and then they had skyleapt the turn before and dropped back in here. I didn't manage to do any damage to Sicaran, and I don't think I managed to do more than a glance to the Fire Raptor. But that was it. The Guardians there disembarked and taken out the Plague Bearers.